It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome a champion of women's basketball and social justice issues. After a standout career at UConn that included a national championship with the Huskies in 2009, she continued her winning ways in the WNBA. As a member of the Minnesota Lynx, she led the team to WNBA titles in 2015 and 2017. She made headlines earlier this year when she opted out of the current WNBA season to focus on social justice reform. She's Renee Montgomery, and she joins this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN right now with your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Thanks so much for joining this live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio, 1340 AM and 96.9 FM. I'm, of course, your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. So excited to welcome in today's guest, and a special thank you for all of you who turned in for Seymour White, who joined me yesterday. I thought it was perfectly fitting that Renee Montgomery, a two-time WNBA champion and an activist, joined me today, especially after having Seymour White on yesterday's show, who, of course, was a great friend of the late, great George Floyd. And so without further ado, I want to bring Renee on. We're going to talk the latest and greatest in women's basketball, but more importantly, we're going to talk social activism and sport right now, and something that's propelling a nationwide movement, a global movement, and she's going to join me to talk about all of the great stuff that she's doing. So without further ado, please help me welcome on Renee Montgomery to the show. Renee, how are you today?
I'm good. Listen, your intro is lit. I was backstage like, okay.
I don't dance if you want to, Renee. I'm not going to stop you. I love it.
Man, y'all did y'all's thing with that. I like it.
I appreciate that so much. And first off, I'd like to do a wellness check. Renee, how are you feeling? How are you doing? You've been busy.
I have been busy, but I'm blessed to be busy. So I'm doing good. I'm hyped because I think some things are happening and people have a conscious now. I don't know. I just feel I'm excited about the future. So I'm good. Thank you for asking.
I love that. You said, there's people have a conscience now. Things are happening. It feels like we're moving in the right direction. And I think you, Renee, especially, because I hope we're kind of bringing you back home since you're a native of West Virginia. I know it's not directly DMV area, but I know you're somewhat familiar. Yeah. But to see all that's happening and changing, I mean, is this something that you thought could even happen when you were growing up in West Virginia, to see the world change so vastly, in terms of social justice and reform, and people finally realizing that we have a problem in this country with race and racism?
I didn't really think about race much when I was younger. So I knew I was different, but I didn't actively think about it. But I mean, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have thought what's going on now is happening because of just what happened with my Minnesota Lynx team. And now just for us wearing those shirts that says change starts with us, people didn't understand it. People didn't like it. And so now to fast forward and you have the NBA's new slogan, a whole new game, and you have the WNBA dedicating a whole season to social justice. No, I didn't see that coming.
It's crazy. I mean, it's just like everything happened so quickly. Of course, we got forced into the COVID-19 pandemic. We were all still just trying to figure out what's happening with the world. When will life go back to normal? And of course, now we're still asking that question, even though I think we know we'll have a new normal, Renee. And then another thing happened. And I think that took us back to George Floyd and us all witnessing his killing live, on TV, on social media. It was everywhere. You couldn't escape it. And then I think all of us were just thrown into another parallel where we're like, do Black lives matter? I think it quite frankly has, because we've seen this time and time again. And then for you to step up, Renee, and you sent that tweet out essentially saying, you know what? I love basketball, but there's something more important that I need to address and that I need to do. When you had sent that out and made this decision, what did that take you to? I mean, overall, like, what were you hoping people took from that message of you not playing the WNBA season, opting out for 2020, and of course, kind of changing your career more towards activism?
Yeah, well, I knew everyone was going to find that out, so I kind of wanted to just tell people why I'm not playing this season. That was what I hoped to accomplish. I didn't know that it was going to get as much attention as it got. I just wanted to tell people how I felt, honestly, because I was doing different interviews, and I was telling people, I was doing so many interviews, and people were asking, well, what's your plan? People thought I opted out with a whole plan, everything laid out. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have any clue what I was going to do.
Yeah, you were just moving, right? Off of what you
I just knew I wanted to be a part of what's going on right now. And so that's why I opted out. So, and it took me on this adventure, I would call it, where now so many things is going on, and joining the More Than a Vote campaign and different things, and starting my own campaign.
Yes.
I had no idea even when I opted out.
Yes. And I think that's the cool thing about life. Things happen and you're thrown into these different situations. You think you have something planned and then something happens. And I love how you talked about just your own initiatives in campaigns that you're doing. You sparked your own thing with Moments Equal Momentum. I want you to talk about that and what you're hoping to do with that, how you're hoping to galvanize us behind that effort. Of course, as we prepare to vote, hopefully all on November 3rd, to prepare for this next presidential election.
Yeah. So, in my tweet, I just said that there's so much work to be done, and moments equal momentum. So let's keep it going. So that was like what I said in the tweet, and people just kept on gravitating to that part, moments equal momentum. So because people kept gravitating to it, I'm like, you know what? That's what I should just call what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make a positive change, and I'm going to label it moments equal momentum. And that's where my campaign came to life. And now we have Remember the 3rd of November, which is exactly what it says. We want to take this passion that everyone has right now, educate people, and then hopefully on November the 3rd they vote. So it's a really simple campaign. And then the last yard, it's HBCU focused, and I have HBCU with my parents, and I wanted to give back to that community because everyone's looking for an answer to how to stop police brutality, how to stop different things. I don't know. I don't have any answers. I just want to build and be something positive. So I'm trying to build with HBCUs, and that's for the last yard for my Moments Equal Momentum campaign. So I'm trying to do something positive because I don't have any answers of how to cure the things right now, but that's what I can do now.
And I love hearing you say that because I don't think it's one simple thing. It's not a Band-Aid we can put on this overall problem that this country has. And there's so many different ways to get to that problem. But especially love that you are galvanizing the HBCUs, our historically Black colleges and universities. I'm also the daughter of HBCU products, so I love to hear that. I think it's so important to make sure that they're involved in this initiative. And as you said, making sure we vote. I think so often, Renee, we hear so many people saying, I can't make a change. What can I do in my community? It's like, no, you can do so many even smaller things that might not be on the national scale, but voting too is one of those things. People fought for our right to vote. So we have to make sure we show up at the polls. And I think for me, Renee, one of the most surprising things is when I found out how few of NBA players were registered to vote.
Percent. Yeah.
I was like, what? How did this happen? And what do you think that message sends, though, now to see the NBA getting so involved, players making sure they're registered? What message do you think that sends to the rest of the world as our sports athletes are getting more involved in the social activism wave?
I think that everyone sees that, a lot of these problems, people think that athletes are shielded from them. Like, well, why are you so upset about this? This doesn't affect you. You're rich. You're an NBA player. And I think people are starting to see that NBA players are the same as everyone else. Like, we're human. We have cousins, we have brothers, sisters that we're afraid if they get stopped by a police officer, we're afraid of what could happen. So we're the same. We're in the same boat. We have the same struggle. We have the same fight. And I think that that's been the best thing that's just happened over these past weeks is that you hear athletes talking about they're mentally exhausted. Mental health was a stigma in sports for a long time. It's still not all the way gone, but people hearing their favorite athletes say, you know, I'm just frustrated, I'm tired, I'm mentally exhausted. People were like, what? They were surprised. They couldn't understand. What are you exhausted about?
Right.
Black in America is exhausting. You know, that's what people were saying. And that's what the athletes feel. So for me, what I think the best thing, and yes, I'm glad that a lot more of them are registering to vote, but you have to also remember a lot of the NBA players are young too. So
right.
about, you know, 35-year-olds, this is a young NBA league. So we're talking about kids that went to school for 1 year and now are in the league. So they're not old, and it's good that they're getting on board now. So I'm excited just for the direction that America is going.
Yes, I love that. Excited for the direction America is going in. And I think a group of people that have helped America to go in this better direction has been the WNBA. These voices, these women leaders that have been saying for a long time, Renee, there is a problem. And you all have been on the front lines. For some reason, Renee, the rest of the country is just realizing that. But I mean, how do you think we can amplify women's voices, especially Black women voices, in this overall current movement that's currently happening in this country?
You know, I keep seeing a lot on social media, so I'm going to say it because it's believe Black women. You know, I know that with journalists, Black journalists, you know, you have to have a source, you have to have another source, and then you have to have a source to back up that source. And when
you're checking,
when you're a Black woman journalist, you have to have 5 different, and people still might not believe it. So I would say, first of all, just believe Black journalists and also give them a chance. Let them cover the big stories. Let them get that big opportunity. I think that you just see a lot of different things with representation that we can all control. You know, representation matters. Seeing their favorite reporter, their favorite senator, that's a thing now. Dr. Fauci is like one of the most popular people ever. How? It's a new time, you know? So making sure that in this new time that we have representation in politics now. You know, I've never known so many different governors' names and senator names and been so familiar with who's representing who. And I think that's important now to just keep that going and making sure we have representation everywhere. That kind of was a tangent, but representation.
No, look, I loved it. Representation matters. We need it. And Renee, just hearing you speak, I'm like, we might have to put your name on a ballot, Renee. We might have to do some votes. You haven't thought about it yet? Can I push you in that direction?
No, I've only thought about it because, so it's crazy. Joe Biden's senior advisor sent out a tweet that said, hopefully he can't wait to run my campaign one day. And I was like, what? And everyone else was like, what? And I was just as surprised as everyone else when he said that. But that's the only reason that it came into my mind is because he brought it up to me.
I absolutely love that, Renee. Because look, I think that's what it is now. I think, you know, we certain people think about, you know, a politician being a certain way, but I think it's a new day in America. You can have different backgrounds, and we want that. We need those experiences. Again, representation matters, diversity matters, so we want people from a wide range of thought as we elect them to be our leaders and to be our voices. And so, Renee, I'm going to tell you, you have to think about it. I'm telling you, you have some support. You have a lot of support. But it feels like there's a new day in America. I think it's needed. I think especially for me, seeing the removal, Renee, of Confederate flags, seeing the removal of Confederate statues, names of schools. I mean, for you, what has kind of been that moment? What has been that one thing that you really knew, all right, change has actually come, change is actually here?
I would say the state flag. You know, that's a big deal to change for a state. That's part of your identity. It's part of your beginning, and people want to be part of the end. And to know that it's been brought up many times, to have a state flag with a Confederate flag mixed in it. There's been so many complaints and so many different things. And we talk about athletes again, an athlete changed that. Like one athlete changed the whole state. Like that's crazy to think about. And that wasn't a reality in Mississippi. So, I mean, I didn't think in the timing of it too. So he didn't just do it. He didn't just change the whole state, but he did it in a record time. It was like a month. And that just shows the climate. People are ready for change. People are open to change. And again, that's what makes me excited and makes me optimistic. And you did my wellness check, and I don't want to be rude. So how are you doing? I should have done it.
I appreciate that. I think you are the first guest that has given it back to me. So I appreciate that. But I will say I've been blessed. You know, I've woke up today. I am healthy. I am living. I get to talk with you. So I just feel like I am just super blessed and excited. But I appreciate that. I feel like
the church. Were you raised in the churches? Because
you can tell, right? Because this is why we're vibing, Renee.
It's the church connection. Because that's how I feel.
Yes, it's just like, and there's so many things going on. And of course, I mean, yes, things could always get better, right? Everyone can say that. But again, it's just spreading a positive message. I think we all need it now, Renee, more than ever. And again, I think it's just why people like you are just so inspiring to talk to. People that went out on a limb. You're in the middle of your basketball career, 11 years you've played. You're an amazing basketball player. We saw what you did at UConn, destroying the competition, and then again in the WNBA ranks. So to know that you put that aside to say there's a larger problem, especially here in DC, after seeing another player like Natasha Cloud do something similar. I had to show love for the DC Connect, but it's just been so inspiring and important. And I know it's probably a hard question for you to think about, but do you think you can get back to just playing basketball anytime soon? Or do you think this is going to be a part of forever of your identity? And maybe you don't know the next steps, Renee, of where you're going to be next year or the following years or following seasons.
Look, I don't know. I plan on getting back to the court. I don't think anything could stop me from getting back to the court as far as social justice is concerned, because I wanted to be a part of this moment, which is why moments equal momentum.
Yeah.
Season, this is a part, and to answer that part, this will be a part of my identity forever because it's me. And now people just know me out loud. This has always been part of me, but now everybody just kind of knows this part of me. And so, yeah, I'll take this part of me to next season. I'll take it right into the WNBA for next season and create a momentum in that.
I love that, because one of the things I've loved, Renee, you joining TMZ Sports, which has just been so much fun to watch. We have a Black woman voice there, and it just made me so happy and so proud of you just being your authentic self and owning that. I think it's just been so important. And so you being that representative, what has that meant to you? What's it been like with TMZ Sports? And, how are you making sure that you're representing yourself, representing Black voices, Black women voices when you go onto the TV set?
Well, speaking of Black women, there were a couple of Black women at TMZ that reached out to me right when I came aboard just to welcome me, So that was nice to just have that type of environment and that tone set. And then with TMZ to get that gig, yeah, TMZ is, they're A-listers, they're Hollywood.
Big time, doing it.
All things cool in a sense. So I was extremely excited when they told me they wanted me to be a host of the show. And what I was most excited about was they didn't say, I want you to be the host of the show, but you need to make sure you don't say this or don't be too this or don't be too that. Yeah. It was like, say whatever comes to your mind. This is the show where we state our opinions. It's based on our opinions. So we don't want to muzzle you, per se. And that to me was exciting because it's one thing to hire Black and to hire in representation. And then it's another thing to make sure that they're comfortable, that they are put in a position to be successful, that they feel that they're welcome in that space. So TMZ did all of the above for me, and that for me was really important, especially coming off of me opting out for the reasons I opted out.
That is so inspiring to hear. And I think, like you said, they wanted you. They didn't want Renee, to be censored or another version of you. They wanted you to be your best self. And I think that's what we're getting to see. And I think that's what makes it just so inspiring and so happy for you. And I'm excited for you to keep going on it. I'm excited to see what's next for you. And just continuing this conversation on social justice. I think for me, Renee, one of the most inspiring things I saw was, of course, when the NBA had stopped playing, right? We saw the pause of sports again. And I think many were like, wow, we didn't know this moment would happen once again. And then we saw other sports leagues. We saw other teams, taking it up and saying, you know what? We're not going to play either. This is a larger problem. But then also, of course, at the top level, we have, a president who feels like, he just wants you guys to be athletes, right? But you guys, obviously, we all know you are more than athletes. But when you see just athletes coming together for this larger movement, what do you think this says about the power of sports in America and also globally?
Yeah, it says a lot about the power of the athlete, not just sports, not the power of a single athlete. I talked about it in Mississippi, one athlete. We talk about it with a LeBron James. That's one athlete. We talk about it with a George Hill, the Milwaukee Bucks, who he was the first one that got the ball rolling. That's one athlete. And the reason I say that it's important is because it was a lot of one athletes that all came together and we all became one unified force. And now that's a lot of athletes. So one athlete is powerful, but the athletes, everyone realized the power of the athlete and everyone came together. NBA, WNBA, MLB, MLS, that's a lot of athletes.
Yes.
Even when I opted out, I've never talked to so many different athletes. So many athletes reached out to me from different leagues wanting me to know, hey, thank you for what you're doing. We got you on the field. We love it. Like they were just showing their support. I've never talked to so many. So to me, that was one of the most exciting things. And as far as people that don't want the athlete to be able to have a voice, that time has passed.
Yeah.
That's
You're human beings. You're people. Why wouldn't you have a voice? Y'all are just a lot better at sports than the rest of us, right? That's the difference.
Athlete from our identity, and I've said it before. Like, I was born a Black woman. I'm going to die a Black woman. It doesn't matter if I play the WNBA, if I became a host, if I whatever I do in my lifespan. There's one thing that's going to be consistent, and I think that people need to understand that that's our identity.
I love that. Like you said, we're born Black women. We go out this world Black women. That's something that no one can take from us. And your job is what you do. It's not who you are. We're getting to know Renee Montgomery more. I think it's just been the best part of this whole thing. And actually, Andy Burrows, fan of the show, has asked a great question. Actually, it was something I was going to ask you. So, of course, last night we had football kickoff, right? We had Thursday Night Football. Many people were excited about it. But something important, last night we heard fans booing. There was a moment of silence, essentially, for social justice. Andy asked, ladies, what do you think of NFL fans booing last night when the players came together? I was appalled by this from the fans. So, one, did you get a chance to catch the football games last night at all, Renee? I know you're busy.
So I'm so glad you asked, Andy. Can I answer?
Please.
Okay, so first of all, that's unacceptable. If you're doing a moment of silence, it's a moment of giving respect, moment of recognition. So as we talk about the flag and we talk about the different things of not disrespecting the flag, that's disrespectful. So everybody should not move in a disrespectful way.
Right.
I know that people are talking about the fans are going to fatigue and the ratings are down. That's what they keep on saying. Oh, the ratings are down in the NBA. The ratings are down in the NFL. The ratings are down everywhere, people. Let me just tell you why. Someone like me that is a huge sports fan, I'm trying to watch the WNBA game, watch the NBA game, watch the NFL game. They're all on at the same time now. That's not normal. The WNBA usually plays in the summer, and then the NBA should have already been done. This is a not unusual circumstance. Yes, all the numbers are down, but let's not blame it on the fact that they think the numbers are down because people don't like what the athletes are doing. The numbers are down because now we have tennis, basketball, football, hockey. This is real life, baseball. That's a lot of things to choose from at one time. So yes, the numbers are down. We have to move in a respectful way. Like I say it all the time. Like if you don't want people to disrespect the flag, and people aren't trying to disrespect the flag, then don't disrespect the people trying not to disrespect the flag. It's a cycle. Can everybody just respect each other? I don't think you should boo. I mean, in sports, yes, boo if you're a fan of something, but booing during a moment of silence and recognition, I don't get that.
Yeah, it was hurtful for me to watch, Renee, and I agree with everything that you said. This is a moment of silence. It's supposed to be a moment of silence anywhere. It wasn't a long moment of silence, but to boo, what do you think that says to the players who have come together, locking arms, trying to make a change? And for that to happen, I thought it was downright disrespectful. And it was hurtful to see, especially as we kick off NFL season. And we see the NFL trying to make some change through their initiatives. But, hearing that, it makes you think, have we made progress? And it was hard to watch. And of course, Sunday will tell, if we see more of this. Of course, we saw the Texans choose not to come out during the national anthem. And we saw Chiefs players, locking arms, player nil. But, it's been interesting to watch, Renee. I think everyone has a different way of trying to draw attention to this. Of course, we saw what happened in the NBA when Jonathan Isaac decided, he didn't feel the need to wear the T-shirt. He didn't feel the need to kneel. And I don't think it's attacking players, quite frankly, but I do think I love the unity that's happened in sports. I love what we talked about before, but you would think the fans would galvanize behind it, because at the end of the day, that player that you're taking a moment of silence for, they're still going to be your favorite player. They're still going to
people talk about the numbers going down too, but look what happened when the pandemic hit and we had no sports.
Yeah.
So you saw how people were reacting to a reality of no sports. So to say that fans are just going to have sports available and just choose to never watch them again because their favorite player decided to lock arms with his teammate to show a moment of reverence.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even realistic. Like, fans will be back because the athletes aren't doing anything wrong.
Right. The athletes are literally trying to make the place a better country, right? It's not the American dream. It's not our job as citizens to make the world a better place than it was yesterday. That's all they're trying to do. And at the end of the day, they're still going to be your favorite athlete. That jersey you're still rocking, they're still that same person. And so you would hope that people get the point that's trying to be proven. I love that you all are using your platform, Renee. I've always been a person that says, use your platform for a purpose. I love seeing sports do that now because that's what's happening. And I think people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, quite frankly, Renee. And again, we're just asking for justice. justice. We saw what happened with Jacob Blake. And unfortunately, there's so many names I could mention. And unfortunately, there'll probably be more names I will have to name because, of course, there still needs to be change in this country. But I applaud you for the platform that you have. I applaud you for giving your voice. And I'm just so excited for what's yet to come. And I'm curious, have you been back to West Virginia anytime lately, Renee?
I have not. In these COVID times, we basically threatened our parents who are in the high risk age. Don't do anything. Don't go anywhere. What do you need? Groceries sent to your door. So I have not been home. I miss my parents, actually. I snuck and diddy. I miss my parents.
I'm sure, but I'm sure they're so proud of you, right? With all that you're doing.
That's been what's been so great because, like, me opting out, you know, the first thing you want to do is be around family, around people in that moment. And so what's happened and being able to, there's been so much spotlight on me opting out. It kind of is a proud moment for my parents that reaches all the way to West Virginia because people from West Virginia are calling them like, hey, we just saw Renee on MSNBC. And so
I love it.
I feel almost connected. It's so weird, but I feel more connected to my parents just because we all have the same thing going on. So I don't know, but I snuck and diddy. I'm going to say it again because they
love that. I love that. And just so at the end of the day, Renee, when we say Renee Montgomery, what do you want people most to say about you? What do you want people to remember about you in this moment in time?
I would just say my energy, positivity. Like I pride myself in being positive because it's a choice. You know, in sports, it's like, there's so many things that you could be negative about. There's so many ways that you could be competitive. It's cutthroat. And I've just always taken a different route. So that's what I would want people to remember about, just my demeanor and how I approach life.
I love that. I love that. Any big plans next, Renee, that we can know on this show? Anything that we can follow?
You heard it here first. I don't have any. You heard it here first. I don't want to disappoint, but I don't have anything super special.
No, but again, I'm excited. I'm excited to see everything happening. And I'd be remiss. I know you've caught some WNBA games, right?
Oh my gosh. I just told you I'm trying to catch everything. That got to catch them all Pokemon now. But yes, I have.
What are your thoughts just overall on the play we've gotten in the Wubble?
Man, I think the craziest thing is that the WNBA season is so condensed and they're playing every other day and there's record-breaking numbers. Like, how are you playing so many games in so little time and still breaking records when you had a normal season? So my takeaway from that are the women of the WNBA, man, they might be like low-key superheroes for real.
Look, WNBA Twitter, all of us that are on WNBA Twitter, we completely agree with that. It's just been amazing to watch the quality of play. And then also having your family there, like the little kids and the baby moments. I've absolutely lived for those, but I think we have completely gotten just great basketball. So I am excited to see. I'm excited for the playoffs for WNBA. The NBA playoffs, of course, are also going on. Renee, do you have any prediction who's going to win it all?
WNBA, I'm going to go with just the obvious answer, Seattle, because they've been killing it.
Yeah.
It's so tough. Oh, my goodness. I think the championship is going to have to go through LA. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against them. It's just hard. It's hard. And we're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. I think
I'm talking about both. I said it has to go through LA.
Like that. All right, so one of those
in a championship, they're going to have to go through the Clippers or the Lakers. I don't know which one is going to be in the finals, but that's one of those. It's through LA.
It's hard to count them out. Just great quality basketball that we've been getting. Again, it's just been a true joy to watch. And Renee, whenever you do return to the court, of course, we're going to be so excited to watch you continue to ball out. I have to thank you so much for your time. You've been just truly amazing. Keep up all the great work that you're doing. And before I let you go, just any last messages or any last word you can leave to your fans and the people at home?
No, just stay positive. Don't be a troll. If you don't like something, stop doing it. If you don't like what somebody else is doing, stop watching them do it.
I absolutely love that. Renee, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy woman. When I first invited you on, I was expecting like those guys, like, can I even get a text back? I don't know. Will it happen? But you did, and you came through. And again, it's been such a joy to have you on this show. Keep up the great work. We continue to root for you.
All right. Thank you for having me, Kelsey.
Thanks so much. Have a great one, Renee. Bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys just heard from Renee Montgomery, of course, again, a two-time WNBA champion and activist and a woman doing great things. Decided to bring Black Girl Magic on the show. Truly enjoyed talking with her. Thank you all so much, as always, for listening. The magic does not stop here. I'm so excited. Tomorrow at noon, I'll be joined by Senior Vice President of Player Development for the Washington football team, hence why I'm wearing gold today. Trying to give a little preview for the show. And also his college colors, Doug Williams, who, of course, is out of Grambling State University and all the great things. We're going to talk the latest and greatest in sports. We're going to get you prepared for the NFL Week 1 and, of course, talk HBCU sports. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'm super excited because I'll be joined by former MLB player Daniel Nelson. So we're going to talk all the latest and greatest in baseball, talk about African Americans in baseball, and so much more. So 12 p.m. tomorrow and 1 p.m. tomorrow. Join us back here live on Listen In With KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio. Thanks for listening to my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful team. I'm so thankful for you all. Thank you for all the work you put into the show. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys. Have a great one. Stay safe. Wear your face mask.
Follow Kelsey on social media at @TheRealKNelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.